Yo, it's Fernando. Shouts out to Valley Views, man. They played me on the station. I was like, let me make you a jingle. So this is my jingle I made for them. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. This is what I had to do. This is Valley Views. Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? I wasn't tripping when I lost my job. No reason to lie to my mom. Now I've got 8, 9 to 5, y'all. I was like, right on, right on, right on. No work on weekends, eh? Waking up early, sleep at 8. I think.
Oh, yes, folks. So we're back, folks. So once again, welcome to Valley Views on KROJ. And today, this Sunday, we're doing our special show, which is part of the Meet the Candidates 2022 series here on KROJ 101.5 FM here in the San Fernando Valley. We stream worldwide. Please look at our social media pages at Valley Views SFV for our link there. Of course, on the airways on 101.5 FM here in the San Fernando Valley. And with that said, we have today our co-hosting with me. We have Kina Collins, everybody, who's co-hosting, as well as, of course, our co-host Carlos Sanchez. And today I want to go ahead and bring in our next guest, our next candidate. He is Mike Feuer, who's currently the LA City Attorney and now running for the City of LA Mayor. And with that said, we're going to have Carlos ask the first question. But before that, good morning, Mike Feuer. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Hector. It's great to be with you and your team this morning, and all our listeners as well.
Excellent. So go ahead, Carlos.
I wanted to ask, what made you want to run for mayor?
So the answer is very specific. I'm the one candidate who's going to all the neighborhoods in the city. There are 101 of them. I've gone to about 2/3 so far. And everywhere I go, I hear reflected the reason I'm running. People say the city's in a crisis right now. We're confronting homelessness and affordable housing and public safety and the pandemic and so much more. And these aren't problems, they're emergencies in the city. And I was always taught when I was growing up by my folks that you step in moments that are tough. That's when we define who we are. We can't be spectators. We can't watch. We have to be in the thick of it. My dad was a prisoner of war to the Nazis in World War II who barely survived. He taught me you got to do the most important work in the world because life can be very short. My mom grew up in Boyle Heights, spoke Spanish and Russian and Yiddish and a little bit of English, he said, growing up. Recalls when all her Japanese American friends were suddenly taken away because our country interned them in Manzanar. She taught me when I was a little kid, you got to stand up for people when no one will stand with them. Those values have been expressed throughout my career. And right now, at this moment of crisis in the city, I want to bring my experienced executive leadership right here in Los Angeles to get things done, shake up the status quo, and take decisive action. Thanks, Carlos, for the question.
Yeah, and, go ahead, Kina.
Yeah, so I want to dig into a little bit of what you just said, because in your current role as city attorney, you have a unique view of what's going on. So I wanted to ask about public safety. And is there really an uptick in crime in Los Angeles, or is that a narrative? And with that as well, what are your views on LAPD and defunding the police and that conversation?
Thank you, Kina. So the answer is there is an increase in violent crime in the city. Now, this year, it's so far the first couple of months, it's been plateauing a little bit. But in last year, for example, major increase. In the last 2 years, gun violence up by 53% in our city. Huge increase in that issue. I've been one of the nation's leaders on gun violence prevention. Things were going pretty well in declining gun violence rates. But now in the pandemic, increasing dramatically, especially in the most underserved neighborhoods of our city. It's a real crisis for them. I was just talking yesterday, and I was in Sun Valley talking to a resident who was describing how unsafe it feels in the community right now. And I think it's not just a narrative, but people are concerned about follow home robberies and smash and grab burglaries and organized retail theft. And that increase in violence gives people a sense that they're on edge right now. So I reject defund the police. I think that we have this false narrative between either being in favor of reform or a substantial police force. We need both. So I was the first candidate to call for an increase in the police force to 10,000, and at the same time say, here's a series of reforms I'll implement right away. And those reforms include training on de-escalating violence, severing from police officers' duties interventions with non-violent mental health incidents on the street, and having those be done by unarmed mental health experts instead. Making sure that we embed police officers in neighborhoods that are distrustful of the force for 5 years so they earn the trust and respect of those neighborhoods. And I also said that we cannot rely on the police department to fix every ill in our city. We do that for much too much. We have to have violence prevention programs that are community-based. Got to clean up our neighborhoods. I'll tell you, it's interesting. I was describing to some folks in Sun Valley yesterday that there was a study in Philadelphia. They took a neighborhood recently. They cut it in half. They took vacant and blighted property and they let it alone on one side, and they cleaned it up on the other side. On the side where they cleaned it up, a 29% decrease in gun violence just from cleaning up the blighted property. So I have a comprehensive view of what safety can mean. It requires community-based and law enforcement-based solutions, more officers, and reform at the same time.
Yeah, and it sounds like that kind of leads to my next question, which is, and you kind of already talked about it or addressed it, related to crises versus emergencies. And it sounds like here in Los Angeles, particularly, but of course, our state of California and really the nation now, with the inflation going up, not just gas prices, but even prior to the current, Russia-Ukraine crisis going on there, affordable housing in general here, and just the cost of living here in Los Angeles. What do you, as the future potential mayor of LA, what are your plans to address affordable housing or lack thereof in our city?
Terrific question. The only thing I didn't like about it was when you said potential mayor. Otherwise, you were doing great. So but in terms of affordable housing, it is a crisis here. When a one-bedroom apartment costs $2,000 a month, and rent shouldn't be more than a third of someone's wage. You got to make a ton of money to be able to afford that apartment, and therefore most people can't. And when that happens, a lot of other problems follow up. For example, people leave the city because they can't afford to be here, or they work here but they drive in from elsewhere, clogging our roads, and they're not home on time to see their kids. We have people jammed into apartments, sharing bedrooms, when otherwise we'd want them to have their own. So there's a huge issue here. Few thoughts. So first, we have what's called a transit-oriented communities program in the city that is attempting to put more affordable housing on corridors where there's public transit. I want to expand that program because I think it combines two different objectives: getting people out of their cars and getting affordable housing on these underutilized corridors. Well, I don't want to take advantage of the fact that in the pandemic, a lot of businesses changed their models, so they're telecommuting now. That's going to create vacancies in office buildings. I want to fill those vacancies with housing through what's called adaptive reuse. LAUSD has seen a major decrease in enrollment. I want to co-locate affordable housing on school campuses. Teachers can't afford to work, to live anywhere they work, right? I want to change rules in the city on affordable housing. There's a model of housing that's emerged in New York and San Francisco, for example, where individuals have apartments with a bathroom, a single room, off of a common area where they cook and stuff. Not allowed in LA. Need to change that. There are all kinds of outdated regulations that I want to cut through. I want to assure that people who have these granny flats in their backyards could actually sell them to future owners so that we can have people having home ownership opportunities, small units at the beginning, but they don't have that opportunity now with a 2,000-foot house. So there are lots of different changes I'm going to implement right away. What you're hearing, Hector, in my voice is a tremendous sense of urgency about the pace of change we need here in the city. We can't just treat these issues as small problems that we can handle with patience. I think we need impatient leadership to shake things up.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, that goes to also, with housing comes also things related to the environment. Here in the San Fernando Valley, especially, we've had, different environmental, we've had the Aliso Canyon, for example, that's been leaking. We've had, the power plant here in Sun Valley as well that's had some issues. There's issues here in our community related to Whiteman Airport and both noise pollution, but also, the way those planes are potentially affecting, the communities here, right? And so just how do you in the mayor's office, do you think would address some of these environmental justice concerns of Angelenos here in the San Fernando Valley and really across other parts of our city?
It's a big issue, and I have a lot of experience on doing the right thing on this. For example, as you know, my office sued the gas company over the Aliso Canyon gas leak, and then the Attorney General joined me in that effort because leading on that issue was really important to me. We're involved in combating illegal dumping in the valley, for example. That's a big environmental justice issue that we confront. I could go on. Environmental justice is very significant to me. And as mayor, I'm going to direct that the city departments working for me keep environmental justice in the forefront of their action plans. That means the Department of the Board of Public Works, for example, that oversees everything from streets to sanitation. Environmental justice is a watchword. That means assuring that my successor as city attorney has the resources he or she needs to pursue the same aggressive environmental justice agenda that I've pursued. And just to be clear, so our listeners really get this, environmental justice means there are underserved communities of the city. I was in Pacoima yesterday, for example, as part of my 101 Neighborhoods tour. That's an underserved community. It's a community where environmental injustice has been pervasive over the years. So when a kid grows up in that neighborhood, not only is that kid likely to develop some health problems as they get older, but also what does a kid think about what others believe about his neighborhood? They think, people don't care. And that lack of feeling that folks care about you and the lack of action to assure that you're living in a healthful environment, that's not right. And so throughout my career, I've been in the forefront of trying to make things right. And as mayor, I'm going to make that directive to my general managers very clear.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I know that, we're just about almost done with time here, but wanted to first of all, on behalf of KROJ, Kaina, Carlos, myself, and the whole crew here, we just want to thank you for your time. But also, what are just your last words that you want to leave our audience with?
Yes, thank you very much, Hector. So I say this, that the choice for mayor this time couldn't be more important. This is the most consequential mayor's race in decades in Los Angeles because of those crises that we mentioned. And I am the only candidate for mayor with public sector executive leadership experience that's accomplished and proven here in Los Angeles, that's won awards, enabling me to hit the ground running on that first day and shake things up. I want to point out that in every job I've had in public service, I've come in and not them simply taken things as they were, but I've envisioned what could be and changed things dramatically. I will do that again as mayor. The LA Times said that I set the standard for future city attorneys. I intend to set the standard for future mayors. Thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, we've had with us here candidate for LA City Mayor Mike Feuer, who's the current LA City Attorney. Thank you, Mike, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
So with that said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick, short musical break and be back.
Yo, it's Fernando. Shouts out to Valley Views, man. They played me on the station. I was like, let me make you a jingle. So this is my jingle made for them. This is what I have to do. This is Valley Views. This is what I have to do. This is Valley Views. Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? Got me singing like, eh, eh, eh. So what you want? I wasn't tripping when I lost my job. No reason to lie to my mom. Now I've got 8, 9 to 5, y'all. I was like, right on, right on, right on. No work on weekends, eh? Waking up early, sleep at 8. I think I'm surely